we go. Live on Facebook.
Fantastic. Isn't technology great when it works?
Frustrating when it doesn't.
Yes. Really.
I don't know how many of these I've done, and I still keep having to learn how to navigate this whole thing. Okay. Well, yes, you know what? Let me just do one more thing here. Fiddling. Fiddling. Oh, let me turn the volume down. So, all right. So Facebook is just going to get everybody to hopefully join us online. And if not, then they can watch the rebroadcast.
Absolutely.
But welcome. And I have a special guest today. Her name is Tina Jesson. And I'm Michelle Sorensen. I'm the tea goddess. And I've been serving afternoon tea with love and passion in Hawaii since 1999. And I started this live tea chat series as a way to connect with my fellow tea owners and tea enthusiasts from around the world. And it's been a really great journey. I love getting to know the people that I'm interviewing. And this lady is very special and has got some really great stuff to share with us today. And she says that everybody must get sconed. So she's originally from Derbyshire, England. She is, her family is 5 generations of home cooks and bakers, and she uses many family recipes. She's a sought after speaker. She has operated 4 tea rooms and the author of Tina's traditional book of scones. So let's get sconed and welcome Tina. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Michelle, for inviting me. This is so amazing to be connecting with somebody in Hawaii, where it's so much warmer than it is here in Indy.
So she's from Indiana. Like I said, my son-in-law lives in Indiana. His family's there. They were just visiting a couple of weeks ago. So
Excellent. Yeah.
I have yet to go.
What's your temperature there?
I'm sorry?
How hot is it there?
Right now, it's actually pretty chilly for us because I have my half sweater on, and you saw my shorts. It's very breezy and it's really windy. It's been windy and rainy this whole weekend, and it's probably maybe in the 70s.
Oh, that's so cold.
I know, it's terribly cold for us here.
Oh yeah, we're in the yeah, we're like below 30 right now, but beautiful blue sky. And I've always said that's one of the things that I love about Indiana is the big blue skies.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of clouds. We have blue skies, but we have a lot of clouds in the sky. And I'm amazed when I do go to places and it's just clear blue skies.
Yes, yeah.
And there's not
England's a little bit like that because Britain is an island too, so a lot of cloud, a lot of fog, and we just don't get the blue skies like we do here. So that's one thing that keeps me here.
And when did you leave England?
We moved here in 2008. My husband had an opportunity with his job out here, and we thought, why not? Our children had left the nest and they still live in the UK, which is the hardest bit, especially over COVID. But we moved out in 2008. So we've been here, 13 years? Gosh.
Okay. And why did you choose Indiana?
Indiana chose us. Like I say, it was my husband's work. He works for Rolls-Royce Aero Engines, and they had an opportunity to come up over here. So they transferred him, and I figured I'd come with him.
Oh, nice. That's wonderful. And then you started your tea business. So this is like kind of going back because you have some interesting history with your great grandmother and your family. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my great-grandmother was born in 1899 and she was a scullery maid at the time of Downton Abbey. Do you watch the show? Did you see the show? I know a lot of my customers and guests love Downton Abbey, but my great-grandmother was a scullery maid. She left school at 14 and went into service. And she helped raise me. I was raised by my mum, my gran, and my great-gran in a small village in England, right in the centre of the country, about 100 miles north of London. And I learnt farmhouse cooking from scratch. And my great-grandmother showed me how to butter bread and make the little tea sandwiches and slice bread. My grandmother taught me how to make jams and preserves, and my mum was the best pastry maker. So I'm only a home cook, but I've got a bit of a pedigree behind me, I think, just by getting in there with those generations. It's lovely to be here to be able to express that through what we're doing at Tina's Traditional.
I'm excited to share about that. But I have a question. Do you have any of your great grandmother's crockery?
Oh gosh, I don't have her crockery, but I do have a 1920s flapper dress of hers. I can't get in it, but it's something that was a keepsake, and it's been passed down generation to generation, and I've now got that. So yeah, unfortunately, the china didn't stand up quite so well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm sure you could probably find some others. Well, let's see. So you did operate a few tea rooms. Were they in Indiana or were they?
Yeah, we've only ever lived in Indiana here in the States. So I started off, I always tell people my kind of origin story is that I started making scones and selling them at farmers markets. And I basically built my business on scones, which is why we have that slogan, you know, everybody should get sconed, let's get sconed, and all that good stuff. But that was back in 2011. I was doing the farmers markets, and it wasn't until 2014 that I had my first permanent location. But before that, I was doing pop-ups at various places. So we partnered with a number of cafes and would do afternoon tea on certain days of the week. And I say it was 2014 when we opened Tina's Traditional in Carmel on the north side of Indianapolis. And we ran that business for, what, 6 years? Up until, yeah, COVID kind of hit last year, which was a bit harsh. So that's where, that's really how I got started. And we did about 4 different locations for various amounts of time over those years. I say last year, my lease was coming up for renewal, and I didn't want to get into any more debt. And it was like, okay, we're going to change the way we do business. And we moved away from the tea room, which I missed terribly, actually.
Well, you're very fortunate to be able to segue, you know, into what you're currently doing. But I mean, you were doing that anyway. But to have your lease, you know, conveniently, be terminated, you
Yeah.
know, prior. And I have a friend that has her business as well. She was in a mall. It was a little expensive, and she was able to do the same thing. So you're, I think, fortunate in that sense to be released from your financial obligation.
Yeah,
It's awfully
absolutely.
scary.
And it was still a very hard decision, because we could have maybe done it on a rolling basis, but like I say, I didn't really want to go into any more debt. And I think when we did close, obviously, for COVID back in March of 2020, and we reopened again in June. We did get the PPP loan, and I was able to bring my team back in again. But we went from 20 tables down to 6. And it just wasn't really viable. We weren't getting the volume of clientele coming in because we couldn't actually seat them. People wanted to come in, but we just couldn't do it. We calculated that between August and December, we would have got into another $40,000 worth of debt, which is not something that you really want to be doing,
Oh
especially.
gosh.
So we decided that was the opportunity to take it all online, and we'd started doing the scones mixes in the store, and we were selling our own homemade jams. These are all grandma's recipes, by the way, which,
Yeah,
again, it's nice that we can do that. But we were doing a little bit of online, maybe, I don't know, $100 a month, something like that. But now we've gone completely online, and we've gone really deep with that. And the picture that you're showing me there, that is of our Let's Get Sconed baking kit. So we've gone from making cake mixers into doing full kits. So here you get the scones mix, you get clotted cream, you get some of Grandma's recipe jam, you get the right size scones cutter, and a tea of choice as well. So that has been extremely popular, because we can actually ship that across the whole of the US now.
It's not perishable.
It's not, no. We can ship
So,
it.
and then what does a package like this retail for?
So retail, it's at $39 plus shipping. So obviously, depending on where you are in the country, you would pay for the shipping in addition to that. But we launched this last week, and it was a complete hit. I was very pleased with that, and a lot of people reaching out to me saying that they were sending these as gifts to people that they hadn't been able to get to see, friends, family that they hadn't been able to see because of the COVID situation.
It's lovely. And that's available on your website as well, and we can make that available. But I just want to say hi to a couple of people, like Diana Williams, hi Anne, and Sarah, and we just got a new one, Mark Ward, and Michelle. So thank you for watching, and share with others, like our the video as well, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, I can probably try and look over. Since I am a one-man operation, it is a little difficult for me to be able to speak and navigate the Facebook page, but I can try if you have any questions. And so we're with Tina Jesson, and she has moved her business since the pandemic online. You can visit her online store on her website, and we'll make that space available, or that information available to you. She's also written a book. She wrote this book, The Traditions of Tina's Traditions of Books of Scones.
This is the Memories edition, actually. This is our second edition of this book, because we wanted to include lots of photographs and comments from our customers that we had at the tea room. So this is the Memories edition, and it was so much fun putting that together. This was one of our lockdown projects last year. And later this year, I'm doing the Tina's Traditional Book of Afternoon Tea, which is all the rest of the afternoon tea recipes that we used to serve in the tea room. So looking forward to that one coming out in May.
And this, you were having a baking class.
That's right. We're doing the Let's Get Scones baking class. We've partnered with a chef's kitchen in Fishers, just north of Indianapolis. But I've also been doing baking classes and dinner making classes virtually, which has been very popular and a huge amount of fun to do. So yeah, we've got that going, and this was when I was on Indie Style last week, in fact, doing a scones demonstration and promoting the Let's Get Sconed baking box.
I'm sure that helped with sales a little bit to bring more greater awareness to what you're doing online.
Absolutely, and I think as well, the tea part of what we do, because we have about 30 different loose leaf teas. I think people are reaching out more and looking for the calming effect of teas. This is our tea plan. It's 4 different teas that you take over 30 days, and it helps to help you calm, and just having that idea of going through a ritual every day at the same sort of time, and getting to that calming effect that tea is so well known for.
Yes, in fact, I was like rushing around this morning, and there's just something about picking up your
Yes, me too.
and it just seriously has a calming effect, and Yeah, coffee just doesn't, coffee makes me more excited and more jittery.
That's right. I always think of the caffeine in tea as being kind caffeine, because even in the black teas where we have a little caffeine, it's still what, less than 50% of coffee. And I'm drinking ginger echinacea, which is my go-to in the winter. And again, it helps to keep the colds at bay, and it's just so nice. And this is actually sweetened with licorice, which is one of my favorite flavors. So I say this is my go-to, and you can just snuggle
So
up
is
with
that
it.
licorice root? Is that a
Yeah,
licorice? Okay. Yeah, 'cause that has that natural
yeah, that kind of sweetness
sweetness.
to it. So you're not having to add any artificial sweeteners or regular sugar to it.
And your cup is beautiful.
Yeah, well, these cups I actually got when I did a tour back to the UK a couple of years ago. We went to a place called York, which is just north of Derbyshire, where I'm from. And Betty's Tea Rooms there is my inspiration for Tina's Traditional, to be fair. But we went and bought these. These are actually Royal Albert, and it's such a pretty little pattern with
Mhm.
polka dots on it. So I've got several of these in different colorways, which is my sort of private collection. These haven't been in the tea room, but we did have something similar in the tea room at one point. But it always tastes so much nicer, doesn't it, in
Yes.
China?
So the mixes that you have that are sitting in front of you.
Yeah, so we started off with the scones mix. I have now 10 different flavors of scones mix that we do. And then we have 12 different cake mixes that are now available. And we have 12 different jam flavors available as well, including some tea flavored jellies. We have Earl Grey creme as a tea flavored jelly. And we have vanilla chai. That makes an excellent jelly to go on those lovely scones.
Yeah. Oh, let's see a picture. Let me see if I can get that picture up. Oh, there you go.
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah, so the London Fog Tea Jelly is based on, we also have a London Fog cake mix as well that goes with that, but that's basically the Earl Grey creme tea that we have in there. Raspberry jam is probably best-selling jam. And then we have, like I say, all the jams and jellies are based on my grandma's recipe collection, which I've now inherited. So it's in some ways I feel more grounded being here in Indy and in the States, because I've got such a better appreciation for everything that was around me when I was growing up, and the things that I learned from my mum, my gran, and my great gran. And we have this beautiful opportunity to share it. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, here's another.
Oh,
So
this is,
go ahead. Yes,
so
talk
this
about.
so this was another scones. This is a Let's Get Scones class that we actually did at someone's home. And again, we did all the social distancing and everybody was wearing masks, but I was basically doing the scones demonstration there. And everybody went away with one of the Let's Get Scones baking kits so that it could go home and make them pretty well perfect at home, which is good. And then the other photograph there is the Victoria sandwich cake. In the background, we've got the Bakewell tart, which is from the town of Bakewell in Derbyshire. And Derbyshire is the county that I'm from. So that was one of our primary pastries that we had on our top tier of our 3-tier afternoon cake stand.
Derbyshire. I pronounced it incorrectly.
Oh, no, it looks like it should be Derbyshire.
Derbyshire, I love that.
We pronounce it Derbyshire, and I'm not quite sure why. But you have the Derby, and I was here, the horse racing
Right.
thing. Whereas in the UK, we call it the Derby, and we have a British Derby. I was actually born in the town of Derby, but spelt Derby, which was the main city of Derbyshire, but grown up and raised in a small village. So yeah, it's interesting, the differences. I've always appreciated the fact that we have, well, it's just different. Just the way we do things in America is a little bit different to the way we do things in the UK. But I've really embraced those differences, and I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, we're your cousins. I like to
That's
call us your hillbilly cousins.
I don't know about the hillbilly bit, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all it kind of cross mingle. Same language, separated. What is it they say? Two countries separated by a common language.
Somewhat. We speak American. You speak English because we have, right? Derby,
Absolutely.
Darby, Scone, Scone.
Well,
However,
that's an interesting.
how do you pronounce it?
Well, it's an interesting question because a lot of people always ask, is it scone or is it scone? And it actually depends where you're from. So where I'm from, which is north of London, we say scone, which I always thought was the posh way of saying it because scone sounds so posh. But scone is actually the way they say it in the south, which is actually the posher way of saying it is to say scone. So in America, I think we tend to say scone, but in Australia, they say scone. So I think it's just where it's from. So I always say they're both correct. You just decide which you'd rather use.
Yeah. I say scone, scone, however you want it. We'll just serve it, and you'll enjoy it. So.
That's right. And the other question is, do you put the jam on first or the cream on first?
Right.
You do it the Devonshire way or the Cornish way? And me and my husband, we so argue about this because, again, growing up, we used to go to Devonshire, not to be confused with Derbyshire, which often happens. But we used to go to Devonshire, and Devon pertained to have the best clotted cream and scones in the country. And in Devon, they put the cream on first and the jam on second. So a little bit like if you were making a sandwich, you'd use the scone as the bread and then the clotted cream like butter, and then you put the jam on top. And that's called the Devonshire cream tea when it's served with a cup of tea. But in Cornwall, which is the neighbouring county to Devon, they do it the opposite way around. They actually put the jam on first, a thin layer of jam, and then they dollop a big dollop of clotted cream on top. And they call that the Cornish cream tea.
Honestly.
And they also pertain to have the best clotted cream and scones in the country. So I'll let you decide.
Well, you do in your scone package, you have the clotted cream actually from England in the
That's
jar.
right. Yeah, we actually import that from England. And this is, in fact, we have two types of cream. We have the clotted cream and then we have the double Devonshire cream. Now, the only difference is the milk fat content. Clotted cream has 50% milk fat content. Devonshire cream has 40% milk fat content. They're very, very similar, so hardly any difference. But what we find is that clotted cream sells much more quickly, and sometimes we have difficulty getting that in, especially with the virus situation. Whereas the double Devonshire is a little bit more easy to get hold of, but people think they want the clotted cream rather than the Devonshire, but very little difference in the two.
And when somebody purchases one of your packages and they take it home, what are the ingredients that they're going to add to the scone package?
Well, that's a good question, actually. You're going to need butter, you're going to need milk, and if you want to make the scones nice and golden on the top, I'd always recommend a little egg wash. But obviously, if you can't do egg, you can omit that and just use milk. And you can always exchange the milk for coconut milk if you can't do dairy. So that is helpful. But unfortunately, we can't replace the butter. We would need to add some kind of fat in there. But that's basically how the scones would work.
And so I've been making, we make our own scones, and I've learned over the years some things to do and some things not to do, and over mixing.
Oh, yeah.
So explain when you're making it, what is the best technique to actually mix the batter?
Yeah, so when it starts to come together, once you start to add your milk, I always say don't add too much milk because if your scones are too wet, they spread. So that's another problem that can happen. But we're just bringing the dough together just enough so that it's not cracking, but it's not soggy. So you don't want it too wet. And then at that point, We can use the biscuit cutter and we go straight down when we do the scone. We're going straight down with the cutter. We're not twisting it, because when you twist, then sometimes they fall over and go a little lopsided. So those are my best kind of tips for getting a more perfect rise on your scone. And like I say, if you do want to present them with that nice golden colour on the top, a little bit of egg wash makes all the difference.
Oh, yeah, I one time I was baking one of the pictures, you have the exact same mixer that I do, and I think
Yeah.
I let it go and it was mixing. They were so hard.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
because I found, and I kept reading the butter, right? You want to just crumple the butter and then mix it by hand.
Yeah, that's going to say that's what I do to actually bring it together. I don't leave it running. In fact, I had to learn to use a KitchenAid because my grandmother didn't teach me with a KitchenAid. She taught me with a wooden spoon and a bowl, and it wasn't until we needed to make sufficient at the tea room that I actually got my first KitchenAid. So I'd been running my business 4 years, doing them all by hand and selling them at the farmers markets, because you do get a better feel for the dough. And it's just a case of bringing it together and then taking it out of the bowl if you are using the KitchenAid, and then just bringing it together and not over kneading it, because it's not bread. You're just putting it together, make sure it's nice and smooth, and then you can roll it out. But yeah, they go rock hard if you over handle it too much. Yeah.
Because I was reading, it was I guess you're releasing the gluten in the wheat when you're adding the liquid.
That's right. Yeah, it's just going to come out much more solid. It's much easier to have a lighter touch with it. And we always say our scones are tender. They're not too dry. They're not hard. They have that crumbly crumb. And in the tea room, we always used to say it was a crummy business, because isn't there a lot of crumbs on the floor at the end of the day?
And so you choose not to put eggs in your batter?
Not in the batter, no. Not the recipe that Grandma handed down to me. Okay. I mean, it does make a richer scone, but again, you do have to be careful that you're not adding too much liquid, because then the scones spread when they're baking. They're just a little bit too wet, and if you ever get that way, they can start sticking together and spreading out, and they don't hold their height. They just kind of spread out on the pan. It's probably because they're a bit too wet in the dough.
Okay, yeah, my recipe, I mean, I've tried several different ones, and there was one woman from England that I watched on YouTube, and she actually used soda.
Oh, baking soda.
Yeah, so she used, and it was it flour and soda. She didn't use butter. I can't remember, but it was actually very easy to put together, but it was a little bit too runny, and they kind of went a little flat. But it was like, if I needed to make something super quick and I didn't have all the ingredients, I still have her recipe somewhere.
That's good. It's good to have some sort of backups there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the soda, she used Sprite.
Oh, right.
And then it gave it that sweetness, and also that the carbonation, or the acid, to make it dry.
Never heard of it that way, but that sounds very interesting. I must admit, when I did move here, I was using baking powder, and I got this really strange aftertaste, and it took me a long time to work out why. You really need to be using, if you're making it from scratch, you're not getting one of our bake mixes, is you need to be using aluminum-free baking powder. And that means that you're not going to get that metallic taste.
Right. I mean, my preference is that anyway, to use the aluminum free.
You can really taste the difference. And they without that. So that sounds.
But the aluminum is a little bit healthier alternative as well. We don't need to have more aluminum in our system.
Stuff we don't need, do we? Exactly.
Yeah. So who helps you on your packaging and your
So we do all this in-house. We do all this in-house. I have my manager, who used to be my kitchen manager at the tea room. She's come over to the dark side, over to the internet side of things, and she does all the packaging and she's also a very good artist as well. So she comes up with some very nice
That's
standardization that we have across all our packaging. But yeah, it's all done. It's all done to order. So these don't sit on the shelf. These are made to order. So all the ingredients are nice and fresh, and we usually ship out within 2 or 3 days. So that just allows us time to get everything together for those orders. And then, like I said, we ship. You know, that usually comes out within a few days as well. So.
Have you tried Etsy?
We sell our cake stands on Etsy. We have our 3-tier cake stands on there, but I haven't actually, I haven't thought about that yet. Yes. Yeah, so we actually had these cake stands made. They don't, I did have some that had like curly Q feet to them, but when we stacked them, they were like coat hangers. We just couldn't get them unpacked. So these ones have just little straight feet on them, and then the plates, I think it's up to 9 inches, sit on those cake stands. But I've not found any quite so pretty, and these are like a vintage ivory colour. So we have got quite a few of those still available.
Yeah, those look really great. They're your prices is it's priced well too. They're very difficult to find.
They are.
I mean, I remember looking, and when I first opened, I was extremely fortunate. This was 20 something years ago. Ross, you know Ross?
Oh, right, yes.
They had 2 and 3 tiered, like a wrought iron, beautifully scrolled with the little birds on it. And they were like $12. They were like a godsend. They just fell out of heaven. And I still use them to this day. But when I was looking to replace, and especially when we do catering, we'll talk about your catering as well. But when you do the catering, they're pretty heavy. So I was looking for ones that they're very difficult to find and pretty, like the one that you have.
Yeah.
So you said that's like 25. Is that on your?
Yeah, 25 is our retail. We do offer other tea room owners a discount on that. If you want to.
And then when you how you're shipping, how do you? Is it? It's one whole piece, correct?
Yeah, yes. Because again, they are metal with the and they do stack inside each other, so we can actually get up to 16 in a box. So that's why we do like case pricing if anybody is looking to get started or to sell them retail, then we can do that. But yes, it saves you on shipping the more you buy, because obviously if you were to buy one, it's quite expensive to ship. But if you were to get 5 or 10 or the whole case, it makes it a bit cost effective. But we, like I say, we came across them and we actually had them made. And I think we had like 300 of them made. So we've still got a few left there if people are interested in those.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And they are, because even if you go to wholesale, and a lot of my wholesalers, I mean, it starts at $25 wholesale. You know, you're just, you know, and it's not as pretty as yours. So
I must admit, when I saw them, I thought I could see other tea room owners wanting to do something similar, because I'd had such a pain trying to get them. And the company that I got my first ones from stopped selling them, and we ended up having to go directly to the factory to have them redesigned, because I didn't want to do the feet thing, and I thought they would be a good option. So I appreciate that you've recognised that that's something that might be helpful. I appreciate it.
yeah, they are very, very pretty and not just plain looking. So you do caterings. Are you still doing catering?
We were doing catering when we had the tea room. We've tended not to go that way. The challenge we have now, moving everything online and not having the tea room, is that if somebody wants catering, we have to buy specifically for that piece of work. And it's not really cost effective for us to do it. When we had the tea room, you know, we'd already have the bread and the ingredients and everything would be there and ready. So I think that is something that we will probably not do going forward. I don't think that's actually on the website at the moment. But what we are doing is we're working with a third-party business called Market Wagon. Now, marketwagon.com, they have central hubs that artisans can deliver product to. So we can make a batch of scones, deliver, and they, deliver it to their hub, and then they deliver it to people's homes. And that has been probably a third of our business, actually, since we closed the tea room. Which means that people can still get hold of Tina's traditional items like a batch of scones or a whole cake or our teas or our bake mixes, because we've got those on there now as well. And it gets delivered twice a week in the central Indiana region. But I was reaching out to Market Wagon, and they now are in 6 or 7 states in the Midwest. So I think that is something that I would like to promote to other tea room owners, because that could be a really good source of revenue. Because I say it's been extremely good for us, and you know we do special cakes and such like, and our jams and our teas are on there as well. So that's another good local revenue source, especially when you're local, and people have been conscious that, you know, we were the tea room, and it's like, well, can we just come and pick it up? And it's like, we don't have a pickup location any longer, but if you go through Market Wagon, they will deliver it to your door. So that's worked very well for us.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if we can get something like that going in Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah.
Great idea. And
Yeah,
especially with COVID, you know,
yeah.
changing.
Well, I think that's, I mean, we teamed up with Market Wagon when they first started, probably 4 years ago. But we found that the amount of business we did wasn't sufficient to the effort of, and then we had to, you know, pay somebody to deliver it down to their hub. So we stopped doing it for a while, probably about a year. And then, of course, as soon as COVID hit, it's like, we've got to get back onto Market Wagon. We've got to start getting our product back on there. And we went from, I don't know, something like $100 a week to probably 10 times that. So it's been really a lifeline, I think, to the community. And it's more cost effective. We couldn't deliver to the area that they deliver to cost effectively. So it's good that they've developed that. But I'll send you the link. It's just marketwagon.com, and I know they're looking to spread further afield as well. They've got a really good business model.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, I know you said you're not doing catering any longer, but you did do a catering, quite a special one. Oh, there we go.
So this was back in 2016. In 2016, it was the bicentennial for Indiana during the Union, and this is Mrs. Pence when her husband Mike Pence was governor of Indiana. And this was the February. It was the Valentine's Day tea that they do for the legislators' wives. And I was asked to cater that for them. And I got to go to the governor's house. And you can see those cake stands. It was lovely. It was just so much of an honor to be asked. And we've actually done that for the last 4 years. Obviously, last year we weren't able to do it. Actually, yes, we did do it last year, just before COVID hit, because it was early February, but we did it last year for the current governor and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Holcomb. Yeah, I think that's probably one of my highlights of my tea room career, is delivering to the former second lady.
Yes. Oh, look, I'm sitting in there. I'm having tea with them. Oh, well, you know, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I'll put this up here so that I'll post this also on Instagram. And you're not on Instagram, no?
Yes, we are. We are.
Oh,
on Instagram.
okay. Do I not have you on Instagram?
Yeah, I think Tina's Traditional is the Instagram. Yeah, I think that's correct.
I have your website up there.
Yeah, tinastraditional.com. And then the Experience Academy is our training arm of the business, which is helping tea room owners get started and sharing some of the things that are working for us. which I think is how we met, isn't it? Through
Yeah, through one of the business,
yeah, business resources.
was it on your site or was it somebody's business site for business owners?
Yes, we have a Facebook page for business owners, which is called Tea Room Secrets, and I think
Okay, then that's where I met you.
that's right.
But it's a very valuable source for people that are looking to start a business and to ask questions about, I didn't have anybody to go to ask questions when I started,
No,
so.
it's hard to find mentors in the space that you want to be in. I must admit, I did actually ask people in other states, and that helped me get a leg up. But there's a lot of trial and error, and it can cost a lot of money if you're not careful. So I think if you can get a little bit of help and a little bit of heads up before you dive in, it's beneficial.
Right.
I'm just looking at that picture that was taken a few years ago.
A beautiful picture. I love that picture.
Oh, goodness
Look
me.
very good in pink.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm still wearing the pink. And do you like the pearls? I thought I couldn't come on and have some tea with you without putting the pearls on.
Yeah, I did have a tea. There was one woman, she said, yes, you have to have pearls every time. So I wore my pearls. But if you had mentioned that, I would have put some pearls on. But it's like I said, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I'm so glad that, that you had reached out to me and that we did get to connect together. And if anybody is interested in opening up a tea room business, that they can go to your Experience Academy and the Facebook page to be able to answer or ask questions about the joys and trials and tribulations of opening up a tea room.
Not for the faint-hearted, is it, Michelle?
No, and especially night catering too. Oh my goodness, no. But it's a love, and it has to be a love. It has to be something that you enjoy doing and a passion for, serving. And you have to enjoy that. Otherwise, you're not going to make it in the business.
No, I must admit, I think that's the one thing I miss the most about not having the physical location anymore, is that interaction and that serving. And even when we were open for takeout, where people were just picking stuff up and going, the transaction lasted like 30 seconds. And it's like, this was not the business I wanted to be in. But now we're doing the online, and with the other events that we're doing, like the scones making classes, at least we're getting that interaction back again, because I thrive on that. And I think it's been something really good to offer the community, to get together and have some fun while we're making something, and they can go away and enjoy it. So it's almost the same as being in the tea room. So I appreciate
Can you do can you do a Zoom with having us bake? Just tell us the ingredients, and then that would be fun.
Yeah, I have done those in the past, actually. But yeah, we can certainly get something set up, and we can do that. And then if you do want the jam and the clotted cream, you know where to come.
Of course. So everybody, they can find you once again on your, there we go, listed there.
Thank you.
And I thank you once again for coming on and speaking with me. And stay warm in Indiana.
Yes, a little brighter day today. I can't wait for spring and summer. The cold winters are worth it for the summers, I must admit.
So, well, I wish you continued success
in Hawaii. When we can travel and we can come out to Hawaii, I'm going to have to look you up. Yes,
please do. And I will serve you a proper cup of tea and my scones.
I'm sure it's helpful.
But thank you, everyone, or thank you for watching, and those that are going to be watching on the rebroadcast. Thank you for getting Scone with us, and Tina Jesson, and we look forward to seeing you on another future Tea Chat Talk. All right. Aloha. Bye.